the waiting room. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We'll begin in just a few seconds as we let everyone coming in connect to their audio. All right. Once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the American Asian Pacific Islander Small Business Webinar for Chinatown, hosted by the Office of Economic and Workforce Development and produced by the virtual outreach team of the COVID Command Center. Some housekeeping for today. Language interpretation is available in Cantonese. To enable language interpretation, click the interpretation icon and choose the language channel that corresponds to your needs. Recording. Today's event is being recorded and streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. We respect all participants in this convening today and want to create a safe space for all. By default, all participants will be muted and video is disabled. Video will be on for speakers only. For Q&A, to participate in Q&A, please select the chat button at the bottom of your screen and send your questions to Q&A Francis Chan. Get tested, San Francisco. You can save lives and stop the spread of COVID-19 by getting tested through your healthcare provider. If you have symptoms or have been exposed to COVID-19, but don't have health insurance or can't get tested through your provider, visit sf.gov/gettestedsf or call 311 for information on getting tested at a city-run testing location. A safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine coupled with continuous preventative measures are our best tools to end the COVID-19 pandemic and safely reopen San Francisco. Vaccines are free for those who live or work in San Francisco. Go to sf.gov/COVID-vaccine for information on eligibility, vaccination sites, including locations, and links to book an appointment if available. We recognize that there may be members of the media joining us on today's webinar. We will be prioritizing questions from businesses and members of the public during Q&A. Media are welcome to follow up with additional questions they have at judy.lee@sfgov.org. That's judy.lee@sfgov.org. And now, at this time, I'd like to hand the floor over to Francis Chan. Francis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. This is Francis Chan, the Senior Program Manager of Invest in Neighborhood. So hopefully everyone recognizes, at least I do not need to spend too much time on introducing myself. So this is always something that I really want to do for the Chinese community, AAPI too, to provide a very different type of interaction. We meet each other all the time, and this is also the time that we share what we concern. Do we have a solution? And also the other question they want to bring up. And on behalf of the whole team, including OEWD, all my colleagues and peers, and also CCC, all team members, I'm really honored to be here to start this part of the meeting. So I'll try to kind of short for my part. So let's go to the next slide. Thank you. So I can start providing a little bit background regarding Chinatown situation now. Next slide, please.
Sorry, Francis, is that the presentation that we just tested?
Yes, please.
Okay, just a moment.
喺度順帶提一下啦，如果你係需要中文嘅翻譯服務嘅時間咧，其實你而家你點擊下邊嘅一個地球嗰個標誌咧，咁你就會聽到阿梁小姐阿 Rachel 佢開始講同一時間做同步翻譯嘅，咁好多謝佢今日咧就支持我哋呢個會議啦。Okay, next slide please. So the first thing I pretty much want to give a general concept for Greater Chinatown. The major challenge is Chinatown, we cannot actually define by geographical or just a boundary. So the Greater Chinatown actually is a little bit larger than we have thought of, because some areas that may not technically in the geographical or zip code area, we put them included, because based on the service, based on the population, and also based on clientele. So I'm trying to give you a heads up or idea for, as you may know, my department work on the data every single 6 months. So we're trying to provide updates and also to know better what we need by now. So the data by now is on our Invest in Neighborhood Department 2020, that which is the end of last year. Then we do store door-to-door door-to-door counts. And thank you for self-help for the elderly. That means our Chinatown corridor managers that also provide a lot of assistance on that one. So up to December 31st last year, we have 987 storefronts that are in the inventory. And I tried to give 843 of them, 85% of them are active. That means that they have a business that is still under registration. They may not open every single day, but they are still in that place. And the other 144, approximately 14.6%, have proven record that they are not active anymore. When compared to the year end of 2019 for 13%, or 2018 for 11.3%, Chinatown has been facing an increase in vacancy. However, at the same time, when compare other city districts, we are going onto a more stable status, increasing, but not the worst. Next slide, please. One of the area that Chinatown, as Chinatown point person, I oversee some of the programs, and this is what we have for fiscal year 20 to 21. That is now. So for our annual budget for this year, we have planned the investment for 555 K, as you see at the bottom. And this year we focus on two major area and with an additional new area. So we strengthen small businesses. We still have corridor manager. We still have the Chinatown Impact Project that is actually the the visitor information center. The customer attraction and marketing project that is CCDC's Shop Chinatown and all names. And then by now, and also the new program that we are going to focus on this year is the business strengthening projects. That's a mini grant, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more a bit later. And the other one is increased quality of life. This year we still have two events, and then because we have to plan that now in order to make that happen, pretty much in the summertime or even later winter this year. The other one that we are happy that to launch this year is the camera project. Make it simple, and by SF Safe, that will continue the second phase of the Stockton Street camera from Jackson all the way to Broadway. Next slide, please. And for next year, we are more looking at, besides the existing project, we are going to have two new programming. That is, one is called Open Space Activation, as you see on the bottom, and also the Quality of Life Improvement Projects. So we are honored that we have a lot of CBO members that have been our partners, and also provide a lot of input and effort to make all these events and programs happen. Next slide, please. To try to make it simpler, I think I just try to provide an idea. This is one of the projects that we respond to Chinatown needs since the pandemic, is to I would say allocate or set aside a certain amount of our fundings to provide a mini grant to support at least 60 struggling and newly established businesses in Chinatown. This will be coming shortly, and then pretty much hopefully will be launched in June this year. So please contact us, and then we will provide more information how who you can reach to in order to apply or to get assistance to apply for this grant. Next slide, please. So these are the three agencies that have been helping OEWD long time to, for particular for Chinatown businesses, to provide support application, not only limited to one, but pretty much for the all application that the that the merchants or the business may need. So we'll actually repeat this information, and the free agency is self-help for the elderly, Northeast Community Federal Credit Union, and Asian Inc. And the number is provided in here. Thank you. So you all have my cell phone number pretty much, and you see me on the street. So feel free to stop me anytime you won't need any. You have any questions or information that may need. And thank you.
Great. I guess I'm the next person in the queue. My name is Matias Mormino. I'm Director of Policy at Chinatown Community Development Center. And if we go back to the slides, I can talk a little bit about the work we've been doing with residents and with business owners in terms of what can an economic plan for Chinatown look like going forward. Next slide. So we, in partnership with OEWD, compiled 14 strategies that were included in previous OEWD and city planning documents that were meant to really support the Chinatown community. We looked at also what was happening during the pandemic and creative approaches, and basically then surveyed 220 Chinatown community members in terms of the strategy. And first we asked them if they support or oppose it, these strategies, and then we asked them what their top 3 strategies were. Next slide. And so the thing what was, I don't think surprising to most of us that work in Chinatown was that in this moment, everybody is interested in seeing something happen. They want the city and the community to really take this opportunity of the pandemic and really focus on anything that can help the Chinatown community. So every single one of these 14 strategies was supported by at least 87% of the people surveyed, with several of them having 100% support, which, you know, that's hard to achieve anywhere, including in our community. Unsurprisingly, I think the top strategies that we saw across the board from residents, business owners, members of family associations, community members were tied to the basic needs of the community. So improving public safety, making sure our streets are clean and our alleyways are clean, and also supporting our small businesses. Nothing surprising there. I think these are long-term community concerns and long-term community strategies. They were the top vote getters, regardless of kind of what category people self-identified as. But we also looked specifically at the merchant response, and that was about 30 merchants in Chinatown that responded to the survey. And the impact in terms of their top 3 strategies was certainly kind of getting the help and support from the city, from OEWD, and from their community around, especially commercial rents. I think this is still front and center for a lot of businesses. Also city programs to assist small businesses, and also addressing public safety. This survey was conducted at the tail end of last year, but I don't think that any of these priorities would change radically if we were to conduct the survey again. Next slide. And so you can see in this slide kind of overall strategies across the board with cleaning, safety assessment, alleyway improvements, improving and bringing back community service kind of as the top vote getter, but everything else kind of like having pretty broad support, park and ride and waiting zones being maybe at the bottom end, but all of the strategies requiring and receiving some support. Next slide. And if we zoom into kind of what our merchant respondents were most concerned about as we said, commercial rent, city business program assistance, and public safety were really far and above the things that were the most important. So I hope that this presentation, in partnership with the tremendous work Francis and the team are doing, kind of gives us all the same understanding of what is going on in our neighborhood and what OEWD is working to address. This was really meant as a survey to help us guide the investment, and it's really great to see from the previous slides that Francis presented that we're headed in the right direction, that the investment that OEWD is making are in line with what the community survey found.
Thank you. And now I think it's my turn. So we will continue on the slide deck. My name is Diana Ponce de Leon, and I'm the Invest in Neighborhoods Interim Director for OEWD. So I work on supporting the team across many neighborhoods, across many small business programs. And I'm happy to be here today to present on our latest in terms of our COVID relief grants. Where are we at today? What have we dispersed? And also what's new, upcoming, and available, which is really important. Next slide, please. So far, one thing that I like to put into context when speaking to small businesses and communities is that although when we make announcements, the city has been doing a lot to provide direct financial support, other programs in addition to policy changes, relief in terms of city fees, etc. When it comes to direct business funding, we've dispersed about 20 or invested 24 million in the loan and grant program support. That has reached to this point a little over 1,300 small businesses citywide. And that number is growing because we continue to go through our loan processing and provide funding to additional businesses. So that number is going to grow a bit. However, the need is great. The need is great. And as a city, even the amount of resources that we've invested still leaves a huge gap based on the need that we are seeing across the city. So in comparison, this shows a point in time in December, what number of businesses the PPP and EIDL for San Francisco, and these are businesses in San Francisco, so those dollars were able to reach over 37,000 businesses at 4.1 billion. So again, just to provide a comparison in terms of the city funding to federal, we are really depending, as many major cities are, on the federal funding to help support our small businesses. So where have we focused our investment? Next slide, please. So our investment here at the city has been focused on reaching those who have not been able to access federal, who have had early barriers. So with every rollout of every new program, we have learned and tried to tailor our criteria to make sure that what we're hearing on the ground, that we're providing access to people that have had difficulty in accessing, again, those state and federal resources. So as you see in our bar chart, this represents the total amount of grants that have been awarded in our city through our city funding. So 67.6% have been minority owned in total. So that represents the yellow, the gold in this wheel. For the API community citywide, it's 37.4%. So it's the highest in terms of proportion of grant awards. It has reached that community proportionally higher to all others in the city. And you can find more of our information in terms of our grants and who they have reached at our link here at the oewd.org site. And here is the link for that as well. Many of our loans and grants, but in this case, we're talking about grants here, have reached a little bit over 57% of women-owned businesses. So we feel pretty proud about the reach and the focus of our city dollars investing in that community. Next slide, please. Also, just wanted to show another data point in terms of in comparison here, since we are in Chinatown. For District 3, as you can see, they are the highest ranking district in terms of the amount of total funding from our grants that have gone out to support small businesses. So in this case, a total of 562,500 have gone to District 3 small businesses. And this is across 3 programs right now: the SF Resiliency Fund, the mini grants for women entrepreneurs, and the SF Shines Reopening as of February. Next slide. So our newest grant was a 10.9. So on top of the 24 million that we have invested, our newest grant is a total of 10.9 million, our grant program. That is open right now. And so the deadline for that is May 7th. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about a little bit of what the criteria is for this grant. Next slide. And next slide, please. So there's 3 levels of this grant. It's 5,000, 10,000, and 25,000. This grant specifically is focused on targeting small businesses that are in our corridors, so storefront businesses. So the first the $5,000 grant, you can have any number of employees. So if you own your own business, you would qualify for this grant, even if you don't have any employees, as long as you have a storefront. There are some minimum qualifications, again, that is very typical of all of our programs for small businesses, which is, your revenue has to be less than 10.5, million, 10.5 gross a year. And this one also has the requirement. So if you look on the right here, the $5,000 storefront equity box here at the corner, there's 3 criteria that will qualify you for this grant. You can meet one of these, not all of them, but at least one. So if your business has been closed for 6 months due to COVID restrictions. So again, these categories are beauty salons, nail shops, gyms, tattoo parlors, and other like bars also that have been forced to close and have been closed for longer than 6 months. If you haven't received any prior loans or grants, and this does have a limit. So if you've received 5,000 or less in grants, you still qualify. For the loans, it's 20,000 or less. So if you did get PPP, it's okay. If it's 20,000 or less, then you still would be able to qualify. Also for opportunity neighborhoods. So that's Chinatown. So Chinatown is an opportunity neighborhood. So you would be able to apply for this category. The next category in the 10 and the 25, the thing that makes the difference between these two is that if you have 10 or more employees, you are able to see if you can get the $25,000, which we only have 40 grants available in that amount. So the goal here in the community storefront anchor for the higher amounts is that you have been, again, the 3 criteria here at the right-hand corner at the bottom. If you're a business that has been around for 15 years or more, then you are able to look to see if you meet the criteria in these. If you are an entertainment venue where you have live entertainment and you've been closed, again, you can, based on your employees, you can apply to one of these. If you are in an opportunity neighborhood, that means, again, Chinatown is one of those. If we lower the threshold of 15 years to 5 years. So if you're a business that has been in Chinatown for at least 5 years, then you can, based on your employees, you can decide and see if you meet the minimum criteria for either 10,000 or 25,000. Next slide, please. The other one that many of you probably hopefully have heard about already, and that we have partnered with Northeast Federal Credit Union to help support businesses that need assistance in applying. So is the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. So this is a federal program that will help support food businesses, so food industry businesses, not just restaurants. So like if your business is primarily food-based catering, things like that, you are eligible to apply for this. And what it does is it basically provides a grant to your loss in revenue pre-COVID. If you have received PPP, it'll reduce that amount, but whatever the difference is that you are able, based on your taxes or whatever you're able to document of loss, that is a grant that they can provide to you, and it's very much open. It can go to different things for your business expenses, backed rent, etc. Next slide. And with that, I just want to say thank you for having us and for actually attending and listening to the latest resources that we have for your community. So again, you have 3 great partners on the ground that have been doing amazing. I want to just compliment. I can't stop complimenting the amount of work that they have done on the ground with us during COVID, during shutdown, to try to get this funding out to Chinatown and to citywide also. And also, in addition, obviously, you have our website you can always look at for the latest resources. And you have as a point of contact, Francis and Judy Lee here from our department. Next slide. And thank you. That concludes my piece of the presentation. So I think we're going to open it up to questions. And Judy, are you going to facilitate, or Francis, the questions? I think it's you, Francis, right?
Yeah, it's Francis.
Great.
Oh, so far I haven't got any question, like, because I think a couple of the merchants trying to log in, I think they may have a little bit of difficulty regarding the Q&A. If you have any question, you actually can raise your hand, or you can press the sign, and then you can ask a question in person too. It seems that everyone is doing great. No question for me. Oh, and also, I think there's one thing that I would like to ask when Kelvin was here, that we want to remind the businesses to take a look at all the information regarding the change of San Francisco to yellow tier on first day. So Mayor just announced, then the details we need to pretty much look at the whole memo to give you a full picture of it. Is it the advertisement time? Is it good for me to say test in Chinatown?
Yeah, so I did place the link directly to the application for the grant that I just talked about in the chat. So if you just want to click on it and go to the web page, that'll take you to the application page.
I'll just pop in to help out some of our participants. If you'd like to verbally ask your question, click the raise hand button located at the bottom of your screen under reactions.
我哋技師係如果我諗 Rachel 同我一時間講咗啦，如果你係想發問問題，你可以用中文發問，咁你只係需要喺你個下列嗰度，你選擇嗰個舉手嘅標示啦，咁咧你就可以直情發問呢個問題㗎啦。Really, no question. And why are being stopped while walking in Chinatown all the time? I had double checked the check room. Okay, and also have to check my cell phone just in case someone asks me a different question. Okay, I have to say on behalf of LSU, okay? I mean, I get a question on my cell phone. It's more like, is there any way that we can check or follow up with those grant process in the future? I think that's what, as brief as that one. Tyler.
So, and then I'm going to interpret that question, Francis, and if you think about it different, please let me know. So in terms of, again, staying updated, we have our OEWD website. Also, our partners know of the latest. Now, in terms of the status, so
Mhm.
if that's a question in terms of where our status is, we do, depending on the program, again, this is a new one, we have different versions. For this one, actually, great question. I forgot to mention our timeline for it. So applications close May 7th. After May 7th, we will enter a review process of about a month. And then we hope that by the end of May, you will know whether you qualified or not. And we hope that in June, we will be able to provide payment. So we're hoping to really shorten the amount of time that you hear back on the grants. Also, what's unique about this grant is that when you put in your information into the application, it will tell you most likely if you meet the criteria or not. So that way, again, you don't have to wait, you don't put in your information and wait. And then if you don't meet it, then you get told 3 months later. So we're trying to really make sure that we're sensitive to notifying you earlier and that you're able to know earlier whether you qualify for the grant or not, rather than just asking you for a whole bunch of information and then, it doesn't meet the criteria. And I will put in a plug at this point. We have plenty of funding still open. So again, the deadline is May 7th for this particular grant, but we have plenty of funds still in it. So please do apply. Your chances, if you meet the criteria and you're able to go get through it, the application, and it lets you submit, there are pretty good chances that you will be able to qualify.
Okay, I get another question again to my phone. Why? Okay, so that is actually from Derek. So he formerly owns a Dragon Beer Candy in Chinatown. So, however, because of the pandemic, he closed his store. So, what will be the best grants program that fits him? And if he asked a little bit more about the mini grant too. So, but I'll let you answer the first part first, right? For his situation, he closed down his business and he's planning to reopen it. So, what should be the grant that he should apply at this situation?
So for this one, it's specifically if you have a storefront. So
Yes.
if you already have a new lease, then yes, because then otherwise, technically your business is closed and you don't have a storefront. So if you do have a new lease, then yes, for this one, you would be able to qualify for the relief. Now, it is a food business, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder if, I'm not sure for the food one, if you may be able to qualify. I'm not sure the specifics on it, but I would say, always look to that website and then you can, contact one of our providers to help you through it. But yeah, at this point, again, the very specific one, the SF relief one, that one is for businesses that currently have storefront.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So then pretty much the same question that Emma has been asking. When should we expect the mini grant for the 60 Chinatown small business be rolled out? You want me to answer? You want me to answer, or you want to answer that?
No, I think you said that earlier. You said so we
Yeah.
anticipate in the process, right?
Mm.
So we're still we're securing the way that the funding is going to go out in the program, and so we're shooting for the deadline of the goal is to have the application in June, go live in June. So that would be the goal.
Yes, and also because there are a couple grants actually existing, in order to apply 2 or 3 is kind of like confusing, or also the merchants may feel like getting lost. So that's why we pretty much put all those different grants in line. So right after the application expire for the grants that Diana has mentioned, then we will roll out the mini grant. So pretty much we expect it will be early June, and we expect the application and also the grant approval will be within like a 2 months time frame if we can.
Yeah, the other one that is open to Francis's point, that is correct too, that we're trying to also time these so that when one closes, the other opens. But the other one that is currently open that you may have heard about is the Entertainment Venue Fund. So that one, I believe, also closes this week. I think maybe that one may close tomorrow. It's like 1 day difference than ours. Mm-hmm. But again, you can look on our OEWD website and it'll have that information for that one. That's specific to if you are a live entertainment venue and have been closed, then you are able to apply to that one.
Okay. And so far, I don't have another message. Is anyone in this meeting want to raise a question now? I have one more. Sorry, because at the same time, someone texted me on my phone for another question. Let me digest it a little bit. It's actually talking about a little bit more about I'd say the vandalism. Sorry, recently, is there any OEWD strategy or plans to support this situation? I tried to say it
Yeah.
nice, right?
So for the vandalism, so for businesses that have experienced vandalism, so in this last appropriation, we did receive funding allocation for 1 million. The program has not been rolled out yet, but we're expecting those will go out in mini grants for businesses that have been impacted by vandalism. So yes, that's something that's forthcoming that we are working on from our office. And so again, this is probably we're shooting for June to roll this out. So again, you see there's different phases that we roll out different grants. So we are hoping that sometime in June, we will be able to roll out that program. And actually Judy here on the call is the one that will be helping to administer that program.
Okay, then here comes a follow-up question. Then the question is, how about, do you have any strategy or resources for marketing Chinatown?
Oh, I think that's your question, right, Francis? Marketing.
Yeah, it's more like marketing. Like do we have any ideas, or I'm also on this section. I think on my behalf is more like we welcome your input. What will be a better strategy or a way? Because when we trying to develop a program and we trying to also to hear from you first. I think this is pretty much so that we meet at the same spot for how to service you all. So I think the marketing program pretty much by now we have in place is CCDC's Spotlight Chinatown. There's always been there. And also as we are looking for new resources that can be not limited to the existing effort, but also to extend the Chinatown clientele, not only regional, not only San Francisco, but all international too. Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of future and just thinking about the marketing as a whole, that is that is going to be a focus area of ours, is how do we elevate one and showcase all the things going on in our neighborhoods, because there's so much going on. So we will be thinking through that and focusing on how do we do that for Chinatown as well as other neighborhoods. And Francis did mention we are also looking for additional resources to help us in these campaigns. So more to come on that, but we are thinking about it. So thank you for that question. Definitely want to put some things in for next year.
Sure. I think there's one more question we can take. Okay, that is from Emma. So will more civilian camera project be funded in Chinatown in the near future?
So I think, Francis, you have that as your budget line item, right? 100,000. And I think that project is going to keep going into the new, and when I say new year, I mean new fiscal year, which means July 1st. So I believe that project is ongoing. I don't know if you have a status in terms of how many new cameras that is programmed or planned to add to Chinatown.
Yeah, and look on that one also is because our partner is SF Safe, and then normally that will be what we call assessment and planning report. And as once, even though it's just a planning report, we know the boundaries of the coverage that we're looking for this area at this time for this year for the 100K, and also we're looking for how these cameras can actually provide more assistance not only for the criminal activity, but also how to provide to improve the public cleanliness and safety for both. Okay, so by now it's 3:45. Do we have any more questions? Yeah, and then you feel free. The last minute you can still text me. Okay. Okay. So far, no. Okay. Do we feel good? Anyone? Any more questions? or if you want to speak in raise your question in Cantonese, both Rachel and I can translate that too. 即係如果你嘅提問係講廣東話或者講普通話嘅，咁我哋都可以幫你翻譯成英文，咁等你可以知道呢個題目或係可以分享你嘅意見啦。Okay. How about that? I mean, seems like everyone very satisfied. Let's provide like 2 more minutes, right? If we have no more questions, then we can thank everyone. Okay. You anything more you want to say? Yeah, GD, anything you want to know? Your show time. Rachel, yeah, show your face. Yeah, so we're all here, and okay, on my behalf, as I try to Chinatown is not easy to work with, particularly for this very difficult time. Based on my statistics, I've been working in field throughout the whole pandemic. You can see me as a OEWD or CCC, testing, vaccination, and more. And this pretty much is really my home, and I feel very very comfortable and also very glad that we go through that. And I do have very high confidence that we will get through it in a very different way, even way faster than the other district. So that's why we set up this meeting, and we looking for your input. Say, please tell us what we should do, right, so that we can assist. And I'm very straightforward person. You can call me, you can stop me in the middle of Chinatown and say, okay. And also we want to make sure that we are doing the right thing that you think that is helpful for Chinatown. And that pretty much is the reason why we reached out to CCDC years ago and say, okay, CDC, tell me what we should do, right? I'll reach out to Rachel as a corridor manager. Can you ask everyone, say that, are we doing the right thing or the right direction? Is the thing that we need? And also thank you, Diana and Judy. Also, right, we've been go through this all together and to look for a new strategy or improved strategy to work with all the merchants with respect. So I think this is simply my goal. Diana, okay, I spent 1 minute. So your last minute closing.
No, I just want to thank everyone, but especially I want to, definitely staff. Francis has been working at the CCC, so I was also working at the CCC trying to make sure that our neighborhoods that were most impacted, that there was equitable, right, reach. And he has been working day and night, not just to try to figure out how to support the merchants, but also testing and vaccination. And when we had to set it up, and I always go to him and say, hey, how can we do this in Chinatown? And so I want to acknowledge that it's been,
thank you.
I think for staff, it's very dedicated. Judy had managed the resiliency fund, took it on. Like the minute that storefronts were closed, we had to change and shift and learn from you. Definitely learn from you. I can't stress that enough. With the participation of the merchants, we've tried to make things easier. And our partners, I can't thank our partners enough. Lily, Northeast Federal Credit Union, SEAC, Rachel on the ground, they're making sure that you all are getting access to these resources, and our numbers show it. Our numbers show the strength in your organizations and the partners, because we see the applications and where they're coming in, and they're coming from here. So I just want to thank our partners for all the hard work and for always being there to make sure that they are offering us that pipeline to get the funding out to you, because we could not do without them. So I just want to close with that, and thank you all for hanging in there with us. We are here with you, for you. We're going to continue to be thinking through all of the issues and trying to problem solve together. So I just want to thank you for your partnership always. So that's it for me.
Thank you, everyone.